Hey everybody, welcome to another exciting episode of Mere Minute. And do you know what I realized? Last Saturday was my 8-year anniversary on YouTube. I don't think those first couple of years count because I didn't really have a focus for the show. I was posting family videos and roller coaster videos and just all kinds of stuff. It was really difficult to get subscribers back then too. I remember when I hit my first 1,000 subscribers and I couldn't believe that. And do you remember Fred? Remember Fred Figglehorn? He was the first YouTuber who had 1 million subscribers. And I just remember thinking at the time, how can 1 million people watching his show? I don't know whatever happened to Fred. I guess he's still doing his videos. But now lots of people have over 1 million subscribers. PewDiePie, I think, has 38 million or something. I have a lot to go over this week, and first of all I want to thank all of you who are new over on Patreon and supporting the show over there. And throughout this episode I'll be listing some of the new people who are $10 supporters and higher. People like Adam Comfort and Andrew Jones, Bill Kramer and Bruce Allen, Caleb Appleman and Catherine. I like that Catherine is just one name. It's like a celebrity name, like Rihanna. I want to show you a letter I got this week from Kyle. Kyle is age 5. And he watches the show, and he sent me a drawing that he did of him and his dad working on the table saw, and that was just so cool. Thank you so much, Kyle. It's a great drawing. Kyle is from Santa Clarita, by the way, and you know why I like Santa Clarita is because that's where Magic Mountain is. Magic Mountain, I think, has the most roller coasters of any theme park in America, except for Cedar Point, which is in Ohio. I think they kind of go back and forth. You know what else? Right across the I-5 freeway from Santa Clarita is Valencia, and Valencia is where they shoot Wipeout. I don't know if you ever watch Wipeout. Is Wipeout still on TV or not? I love that show. It's real fun. Chris Killingsworth. And when I first looked at your name, I thought it was Chris Collinsworth from the NFL show. Kurt and Daryl. Hey, 2 more celebrity names. I'm really enjoying all the letters I'm getting and the requests for the stickers. Still have a ton of stickers left. If you want a sticker, send me a self-addressed stamped envelope. Also, a couple of people from overseas have asked, how do I send postage and just send me a self-addressed envelope and I'll take care of the postage if you live overseas, like Canada. Also wanted to give you an update on the Make Show. Remember a couple months ago I was planning this Make Show event for Kansas City. Well, the thing never happened. I didn't get enough sponsorships for it, and I didn't want to have to charge huge admission prices for people to go see it. So that is off the table. But in a way it's good because that means I'll just be able to hang out at WIA more. I'll be there on Saturday, and I'm going to do the Mega Mimo meetup again this year. So if you're going to Kansas City for the Woodworking in America show, and even if you're not going to the Woodworking in America show, you should come to the Mega Mimo meetup. There'll be a lot of us there that you'll get to meet, and it'll be fun. I'll have more information on that coming up. I don't know where it's going to be yet. I haven't looked at different venues. And if you're there, I'll give you a sticker in person. And now for the Davids. Dave King, David Collins, and David Smith. Do you know what I think the most common woodworker name is? Matt. Hey, I got a new sticker this week from Joe over at Average Joe's Joinery. It's not woodworking, it's joinery, which I think that makes it fancier. It raises it to a different level, don't you think? Thanks, Joe, and I enjoy watching your videos. Emmett Farrell, and do you know what I find interesting about that? It's because it's Emmett who was the main character in the Lego movie, and Will Ferrell played the dad in that movie. And I want to thank Jerry Witt and Just James. Oh, yesterday's video, the snack tray. I enjoyed working on that project a lot. It was very calming to work on the lathe, and a lot of people didn't even know I had a lathe. I guess it's been that long since I've turned anything on the lathe, and I'd like to use the lathe more, but I never really have a purpose for it. I know a lot of lathe turners who design projects specifically for the lathe, but usually when I use a lathe, it's because I need something long and spindly for a bigger project or part of another project. But it's always fun to use a lathe. A few people asked me if it was unstable because I used kind of a small base, and my first thought was, yeah, it was probably going to be that way. But once I had the bowls on there and tested it, it wasn't unstable at all. I think it's because it's kind of low center of gravity. I do want to answer a couple of questions that were in the comments of yesterday's video. The first one is by Matt. What, Matt? See, what did I tell you? There's a lot of Matt woodworkers. He was asking me about the boards I use with the packing tape. Let me show you. These are my clamping boards, I guess you call them. I've heard people call them cawls, but I don't really know if that's what they're called. What they are is just 2 boards. I have a bunch of them. I use at different sizes, and I have just packing tape on them. That just prevents them from sticking to the glue. So when I'm edge joining or two boards together like that. If you just clamp them this way, a lot of times what can happen is they can just slightly bend like that, even if you have clamps on both sides of them. And these, I know I'm doing this, these will go like this around it, okay? So then what you do is you have clamping pressure pulling these together, and then put clamps here and tighten those down, and that keeps it flat throughout the whole thing. So that's all those are, and I use those whenever I have to join edges of boards together. But thanks for the question, Matt. I hope that helps. And I want to answer a question from Storm4777. He was asking me about zero clearance insert plates for my table saw. I love my table saw except for the insert plates, which are these non-standard ones. They're real thin and they've got these little clips that just drop down in there, and so it's really difficult for me to make my own zero clearance insert plates. But because usually what you would do is you could just take a thick board, MDF or whatever, and you would trace the outline of this one, cut it out, drop it down in there, and then you just slowly raise your blade and you've got a zero clearance insert plate. But since I can't do it with that thin one, what I do is I've made these out of MDF, and this is hardboard. It's thin hardboard, like 1/4 inch, something like that. And what I have to do is I have to just kind of cut away with a drill different areas to get it to fit down into the system I have. This is one that I've used for dado stack and other things, and then I actually reinforced it here with some hard wood because it was bending a little bit. So it's not the best system. For my Porter cable saw, they do make aftermarket plates you can buy and do that, but I don't like to buy anything if I can figure out a way to make it. If I was to buy a new table saw, that would be one of the things I would check, is to make sure that it has the standard kind that you just drop in. I want to thank Keith Martin and Kevin Dogian, Phil Clayton, and Rick. There's a good solid name for you, Rick. You just can't go wrong with Rick. And I got a couple of Stevens, spelled with a PH, just like Stephen King. First of all, there's just Stephen and Stephen Caperton. You know what's another real common woodworking name? Steve. For their $10 pledges, I want to thank Steve and Stephen Bali. And finally, I want to thank WXDVB. Now that's an unusual name. I could be pronouncing that wrong. Maybe it's Wixdavub. Oh, also, I want to remind you, I will be at the Maker Faire down there in San Mateo tomorrow. I'll be there all day with Wyatt, and so if you're down on the peninsula and you want to drop by and say hi, I would love to meet you. Maybe I'll bring some stickers. And with that, I think I've taken care of all of this week's business. Thank you all for watching, and thank you for supporting the show, and I'll talk to you next week.